Hello, I'm Will. I'm here with Mike. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And welcome to our new series on Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine, the first issue of which you can see on your screen now. Mortal Realms is a partworks magazine, which means that it is a weekly magazine, and each week comes with some models or some paints or bits and pieces to help you get into playing Warhammer Age of Sigmar. If you've seen any of our series on Warhammer 40,000 Conquest magazine, our series here will work very similarly. So each issue will have a sort of couple of minute run through of the magazine, and then we'll move on to playing the battle that comes with it, where the magazine contains instructions for how to play the game and a battle you can fight with your models. If you already have the magazine, or you know the content, or you're just not interested, then there will always be a time code in the description of the video where you can skip straight ahead to the battle report if you wish. But unlike with Warhammer 40,000, neither of us has ever played Age of Sigmar before, so this will function as our introduction to the game as the magazine is intended to do, so that'll be interesting for us to see how the magazine leads us into the hobby. This first issue comes with 13 models to play with, which is enough to actually play a game with. So we have 3 easy-to-build Stormcast Eternals Sequitors, and 10 easy-to-build Nighthaunt Chainrasps. It also comes with a range ruler for measuring distances in inches, 6 dice for playing the game, and a small battle mat, which is double-sided, which you can play the games on, and you'll see all of those things in the battle report shortly. But we'll now have a look inside the magazine at the contents. So on the first page we have an introduction to the Age of Sigmar, the time period within the universe of Warhammer Age of Sigmar in which the hordes of chaos have been driven back and there is some degree of normality for the average inhabitant of the Mortal Realms, thanks to Sigmar and his armies who have driven back the forces of evil. Now over the page we have a picture of a large battle against the forces of chaos, using miniatures from the game. Chaos isn't really a focus of this magazine, but this is just the backstory of this. The next page we have the Stormcast Eternals, who are Sigmar's champions. They're human warriors, but they're essentially heroes who died but then were taken by Sigmar and forged into mighty warriors, imbued with magic and equipped with special equipment, armour, weapons. Then over the page there's a picture of a load of their miniatures arranged in a battle formation. And then we specifically have information here on the Sequitors, who are the warriors coming with this magazine. Sequitors all have some magical ability, and they use that to imbue their weapons and armour with magical power to help their fight against evil forces, and they're particularly designed to combat the forces of chaos and the forces of the undead. And there's some information about their war gear, their armour, weapons, and some of the equipment they carry. Then we have the Law for the Nighthaunt, who are, well, they're all ghosts essentially, but they have been raised from the dead by Nagash, the god of the dead. They are dangerous, ghostly forces, evil and vindictive. And then we have some stuff on the Chainrasps themselves, who are sort of minor ghosts within the broader Nighthaunt. As it says, they are the most numerous of the spirits that make up the Nighthaunt processions, created from the souls of the most vicious prisoners ever to have lived. Hence the name Chainrasps, because a lot of them have chains on them, and they're here. There are some named examples that they've just given a little bit of backstory to for this magazine. And also with the magazine you get this, which is, well, it's a war in the underworld. It's a fold-out map of the realm of Shaiish, which is the land of the dead, which is where Nagash, the god of the dead, dwells. You can see here there's some sections of the map that are explained in a bit more detail. It's just a nice little addition, really. And then on the back of that there's some things about Sigmar himself, the god king, and Nagash, the god of the dead, on this side. Then that's all the lore we have in this issue, but then we move on to how to build the easy-to-build models that we have. Now these all come off the plastic sprue as shown. Good to use clippers to do that if you have them available. And then they go together without glue if you like. You can just push the pieces together. Though if you want a stronger bond, then you can use glue to fix them permanently, but it's not required. And they all come with moulded bases, or at least the Sequitors do at least, and they just push into the bases. And the Chainrasps only come in 1 or 2 components, and they just slot directly into their bases. It also mentions there's a component you get that you don't need to use when building your Chainrasps for this. This is in case you don't want to make the unit champion. You can make a normal one instead with that component. And then a brief preview of painting. Now, we didn't get any paints with this issue, but from issue 2 onwards, there will be paints and instructions on how to paint the miniatures. So there's just a very brief introduction to it here. But that brings us to the beginning of the battle component of this magazine. So we will go into that now and show you the basic rules they have for this issue, and then play the game with the miniatures we have.
So here we are on the eve of battle. We've built our 2 small armies. Might as well set them up against each other. So we've got a bit of background here. The Sequitors, led by Anastasia Starstrike, have entered an ancient temple to secure it. As they enter, a Chainrasp horde rises to face them. So you can see here we've got our A4 battle mat with the models on either side. So it says to deploy them on the pre-made positions. So the lightning ones for the Stormcast and the skull ones for the Nighthaunt. And we've got our dice and rulers. And here we've got essentially a playthrough of a fight between them. I'm not going to go through all of this because we're going to play it through, so we'll just sort of explain things as they come up. But it goes over piling in the Stormcast and then rolling for their attacks and their hits and any casualties they cause, and then doing the same for the Chainrasps as they fight back. And just goes through simple turn sequence, and once you're done, you start with the Stormcast again. That will all become apparent. We're just going to play through it now, rather than going through this in depth, as I said. Right, so you can see we've got our battle map, and we have the Stormcast Sequitors facing off against the Nighthaunt Chainrasps. I've got a little dice box here to do our dice rolling in. We've got our ruler, and we have a red dice to use as a marker, as the magazine suggests. So the first thing that happens is that the Sequitor player, that's William, gets to move each of his models up to 3 inches to try and get them into base contact with the Chainrasps, so they can actually fight.
So I'll do that. So using the ruler, we'll measure 3 inches. So these Sequitors are just under 3 inches away, so I can move them in like this and get them into base contact.
Also, you when you're measuring, you measure from the same point each time, so you measure from the front of the base to the front of the base. So now the Sequitors are in base contact, each one's in base contact, and they have 2 attacks each, so William picks up 6 dice.
Yep, so also 6.
Sequitors hit on 3s.
So any roll of a 3 or more will be a hit. Yeah. So that is 1, 2 there, but everything else is 3 3s, a 4 and a 5.
Yep, so that's 5 hits, and I have to take away a Chainrasp for each hit. So I'll take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dead Chainrasps. But now I get to do the same thing, so my Chainrasps get to pile in. So I'm just going to measure, he's within 3 inches, he's within 3 inches, and he is. So these 3 can each get into base contact with a Sequitor, whereas these ones at the back can't quite reach, but they can still move 3 inches to get closer. So I have 3 Chainrasps in base contact, so they have 2 attacks each as well, but I only hit on 4s. Oh, but I got 5 hits. Sequitors take 2 hits to kill, so that'll be 2 dead Sequitors, and then the other one has taken a hit, so we put the marker next to them.
Yeah, so I remove 2, and then there's 1 hit left, so we use that red die there to mark.
So Anastasia Starstrike is the only remaining Sequitor, but she gets to fight back, so she's already in base contact, so she can't pile in any further.
And she has 2 attacks, and again, these will be hitting on 3s, and 3s will remove models, so that is 2 more hits.
So I'll take away this one in base contact with her, and then another one.
And we're taking away the ones from the front. The magazine shows removing them from the front.
Yeah, so we'll do it like that. But the 3 remaining Chainrasps can all pile in. And once again, I have 6 attacks, hitting on 4s, I only need 1. So I got 4 hits, and Anastasia Starstrike goes down.
Yeah.
Victory for the Chainrasps. So that was our first battle. So we'll maybe play this through a couple of times, see if we can get a different outcome, maybe change some of our tactics or the parameters a little bit. So we're playing another game of this. So once again, the Sequitors start.
So once again, well, I already know that they can move their 3 inches, so I'll just move them in as I did before. But what we're going to try differently this time is we'll take the Chainrasps from the back.
Yes, the magazine doesn't say you can't, so you might as well, because then you can get more models into base contact when you pile it.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll see that. So, but anyway, rolling my 6 attacks again, looking for 3s or more. Oh, well, that's 6 of them.
6 Nighthaunt go down, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this guy is definitely within 3 inches. I can eyeball that, but he can get in. So I have 8 attacks with my 4 Nighthaunt. So it says in the magazine, since you only get 6 dice, you just roll the 6 and then roll 2 more afterwards, just remember what you rolled. We have some extra dice on hand. So I've got 8 attacks hitting on 4s. I got 5 hits again, so 2 Sequitors will go down, and the remaining one will have 1 hit left.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter too much, but I'm going to take these 2 away this time.
Mm.
Because it's possible that this one, who's the Chainrasp all the way over here, might not have enough movement to get back into him, might not be able to attack.
1 hit remaining.
Yes, but he gets to attack back, so we've got 2 attacks looking for 3s. Almost 2 hits again.
Well, I'm actually just going to take away the 2 farthest away this time, because they might not be able to get in. And the remaining Chainrasps that isn't in base contact will pile in. And we've got 4 attacks, hitting on 4s. And we've got 2 hits, so the Sequitor goes down. So that's another victory for the Chainrasp, but only 2 remaining this time.
Yeah, I did roll pretty well in that one though, so...
Right, so we'll do a third game of this. This time, the Chainrasps are going to go first. So we know the 3 in front are definitely under 3 inches, so they can all get in. Try and leave some gaps in case anyone survives. Everyone else has to fall in behind. So I have 3 Chainrasps in base contact. I've got 6 attacks, hitting on 4s. And we got 3 hits this time. So 1 Sequitor will die, and another one has 1 hit left.
And then they get to hit back. So there's 4 attacks from the 2 of them on 3s. I've rolled 1 and 2 there, but so that's 3 hits overall.
So I'll take guys off the back again. Actually, I'll take that one and the 2 at the back. And then I get to pile in again. And we've got 5 Chainrasps in base contact, so that's 10 attacks. Hitting on 4s.
Yeah.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'd be enough to wipe out the entire squad. And another victory for the Chainrasps.
Yeah, that one less surprising because if you go first, well,
Yeah.
you've got a lot of dice.
So yeah, we'll stop at 3 games. We'll do a quick sort of analysis and talk about some of the tactics you might use at this stage. It's sort of a bit early to tell, really. But we'll head into that now. So that was the playthrough for issue 1 of Mortal Realms, and actually the first games of Age of Sigmar we've ever played.
Yeah, whether you can call that Age of Sigmar, I don't know, but
yes,
hey, you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, so the full game rules, even though we've never played it, we do know they're more complicated than this. And I guess we can talk about the playthrough first. I mean, really, it's the Sequitors just don't have enough attacks to stop them getting outnumbered by the Chainrasps.
No, even going first with their 6 attacks, that's not usually enough to stop the number of attacks coming back at them, unless the Chainrasps roll quite badly.
And I mean, really, the only tactics you can talk about for the Chainrasps is just take models off the back of the unit, so the ones that are in base contact can still fight without having to pile in. Just maximise the number of models you have in combat.
Yeah, because of course we don't know about anything like weapon range or anything like that yet.
Yeah,
so
these are things
it just says people who are in base contact can fight. Though it is still a viable tactic in the full rules because weapons do have a range and lots of melee weapons are only 1 inch. So if you take people off the front, then it's possible that people at the back won't be able to get in range.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I suppose in the full rules, there's extra steps to melee. So once you hit, you have to roll to wound, and then if you do wound, your opponent usually has armour that might save them.
Yeah, and I'm actually, if you do the statistics, probability and stuff, I'll put some maths on screen if you if you want, if you're interested. But pretty much works out that there's a greater than 50% chance that the Stormcast Eternals will be wiped out in the first round of Nighthaunt attacks. Well, especially if they roll poorly, they can't kill enough, and then the Nighthaunt have enough attacks. But even on a very basic level, 6 attacks hitting on 3s, you'd expect 4 hits, so that'd be 6 left. That's 12 attacks. 12 attacks hitting on 4s, you'll get 6 hits, which is exactly enough to wipe out the Stormcast. So the most likely outcome for this game is actually Stormcast kill 4 Chainrasps, and then they pile in and kill the Stormcast in 1 round of melee.
That is assuming all of the remaining Chainrasps can get in, which I don't think is actually possible in the first turn.
No, that's true. It does require you to... it does demonstrate that it's not balanced insofar as such a basic thing can be balanced. It's a good starting point nonetheless. It gives you some basic things that you can build on later, so hopefully we'll see that with issues to come.
And I guess we could talk about the magazine itself. Main thing, this is a really good value issue. If you were to buy these models off the Games Workshop store, it'd be £25 for the Chainrasps and £10 for the Sequitors. So getting them for £3 is really, really good. I mean, I like the models. I painted them. I'm not the biggest fan of the Stormcast Eternals look in general, but I do like the Sequitors. I think it's the robes that make it for me.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same way. The older models without the robes, I find they just look a bit characterless. But
yeah, there's something off about them, I think. And I quite like the Nighthaunt models as well.
Yeah, classic ghosts. But
yeah, I don't know if anyone's watched our Conquest series. In that I painted the Silver Templars, who were sort of made up for Conquest magazine. As far as I can tell, there doesn't seem to be a Stormcast, Stormhost equivalent of the Silver Templars, so I just went for the usual Hammers of Sigmar. Probably want to try and avoid comparing this to the Warhammer Conquest magazine too much, but I do think it's interesting how they've gone for a really basic... Well, one thing is I do like how in the first issue they've given you models for 2 factions so you can play a game straight away, whereas with Conquest you got paints, so you could start painting straight away.
Yeah, and if you see this in the shops, you know, £3 and you have a game to start with, and
for 13 models, and they really have gone for a basic version. I mean, the tutorial takes you through each step of combat, whereas with Conquest they gave you comparatively quite a lot of rules. So you had moving and shooting, and you had to roll to hit and roll to wound, and then you had an armor save, and then you had disgustingly resilient for the death guard. So it actually took a really long time to actually play the first game. Whereas with this, we took less than one turn sometimes.
Maybe that's something they learnt. Maybe they just decided that by having something so basic and so simple, you can get somebody, you know, invested without much difficulty and then build it up. So the rules obviously will get more complicated, and eventually we'll have the full rule set, but much more basic start.
Yeah. As I did mention, this is the first time we've actually played Age of Sigmar. So with Conquest, we do a sort of analysis of the units and the tactics you might use with them. We'll try and do the same thing, but it might not be as accurate as it is with 40 days. So if you play Stormcast Eternals or Nighthaunt and you particular tactics you like to use, feel free to comment and that sort of thing. That'd be handy to have, and we can use those in our videos, since we're not as experienced with Age of Sigmar as we are with 40k.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be like to learn how to do this properly, and also other people watching the video might benefit if you have thoughts and comments. Then for newcomers as well, just like us.
So I don't think there's too much more to say about issue 1 of Mortal Realms. So if you like this content, please leave a like and subscribe for more, and leave any comments, what you think about the magazine, what you think about the morals, the games, any tactics you have for these morals. We'd like to hear it all. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.